So this is my first live stream on YouTube, and I would probably be having zero viewers right now, but then that's fine because I'm just starting on YouTube, and I have a lot of ambition and how would I say it, a lot of goals, if I should say. And probably sometimes you could see that there are certain things that you'll be doing, and not many people can relate with you, and it makes sense. Yeah, I get the understanding. I don't mind that, but at the end of the day, who knows? You might become someone, you might not, and all of that. So it really makes sense to always continue to try your best to do what you can do and all of that. So just to say less, there are people that have made it using that, and it worked out for them. So so my question to myself is, what are some of the things that would sometimes it's you can say, oh, your life is perfect, or your life is okay, or your life is that, but it necessarily doesn't mean that that is how your life is, like the way others are perceiving you to be. So most of the time, when you look at the technical aspect of this, it makes things a little bit complicated, especially when you are that person that you have issues with your mental health, or you're like always depressed and stuff. It makes others looking at you, or others seeing you to not actually be who you. It doesn't make sense, probably. Maybe saying it directly or indirectly, it doesn't make sense, but sometimes it does, because you saying something backwards doesn't mean that it's forward. Am I making sense? Well, I don't think I am, but at the end of the day, I'm just saying what I'm saying. You having the will, or the you want to do something, or you want to say something, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to actually say them or do them. It doesn't mean that. You just have to take whatsoever is in your heart, and then look at it that way, and you can always look at it. Um, But I would say that there are certain things that we should always look at, right? You should always look at the love and the understanding that each and every one of us have. You might not know. You might meet that one person that you really, really, really want, or you really, really, really like. You know, that person doesn't really have to like you back. But then, well, that's just the game. That's the game. So I'm actually live streaming and just want to choose something about the concept of getting ideas and being able to use those ideas properly. And sometimes it might seem like you don't have questions, but you always have questions behind questions. So how is it necessary, or how important is it that maybe you can be able to get the ideas of things? And when it comes to technicality about how you search for things, now mostly there are AI systems that are like visible everywhere. So the best thing is for you to be able to know how to use those AI systems to be able to gain knowledge, answer questions, do assignments, and all of that. So basically, I just want to bring out that idea or knowledge or understanding of some of those things. So as you are watching, if you have any questions, you can put it down in the comment section. Just type any question. You can say hi. You can send emoji or whatsoever you want to send. You can do that, and whatsoever you want to say or talk about, we can talk about that. But then we basically be looking at some of those um, uh, platforms or whatever you want to for us to talk about, right? Would definitely look at those things, right? So, for instance, you would see that it doesn't really make sense, but I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't even know what I'm actually doing, but all I want to say is that it will make sense if you have, um, say, a string of things to do, right? Every single thing you want to do, there's always a system there that can help you to be able to do those things. So, for instance, if we look at some of the AI systems that are available in the system, so let's look at some of them. So what I do is we will always be looking at some of these things each and every day. So I will always be streaming on my YouTube channel and be giving you tips on how the technical aspect, entertainment, you get it. Every single thing that will allow you to be able to do what you want to do. If you're new to my channel, you can just click on the subscribe button and try help out. Okay. So I'm willing to get some of the comments down. Some people that are very participatory will definitely, you make my day if you put a comment down, no matter what it is, no matter what the question is. You put your comments down. Any questions, whether it's based on what we're doing now, whether it's a question on something else, no matter what it is, we can discuss about it. We can talk about it, and definitely we'll come. We'll get. You definitely get an answer to all of those things, because there is no way we'll not be able to search and find out things of sort. Right now, in the IT world, most people think that when you're just studying IT, is you talking about every single thing that has to do with IT. With IT itself, like okay, let's even look at the branch of computer science. The branch of computer science is very huge, right? Looking at the robotics aspect, networking aspect, you're looking at programming, software engineering. There are many different ones of those fields, right? So it will always be very, very good if you can be able to understand what is happening in the systems and all of that, right? If you can be able to understand what those things are and what they mean, we can always talk about those things. We can always interact on those things, and it makes sense to be able to understand these things. Now, most people or most young people get the understanding of, oh, I'm a hacker, or I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that. You want to be able to understand that if you are going to learn a particular field in computing, or computer science, you should know that there's difficulties and there's going to be certain things that you should be able to do, right? You should be able to put yourself in. You should be able to, like, you are ready to learn, you're ready to get the concept, you are ready to get the understanding, you are ready to go through the hustle and the bustle to be able to get the understanding of those things. So that is one thing we should look at. So whatsoever it is that you want to learn, just make up your mind, put it in at the back of your head that you want to actually learn those things. So one thing I'm teaching my students now at Eagles Academy and Adult Education is we're looking at generations of computers. So imagine these kids learning generations of computers, right? They don't really understand the concept of what generations of computers are. Right? They don't know what those computers entail, what they are talking about, and all of that. So it makes it very difficult for you to get the concept if you don't really understand. So even looking at the generations of computers, looking at this, let's say I go to ChatGPT and I ask ChatGPT, tell me more about the generations of what? Of computers. Of computers. Right? In this way, I'm indirectly telling ChatGPT that, okay, ChatGPT, I want to know about most of the, or I want to know more about the generations of computers. That's what you are telling ChatGPT. ChatGPT should tell you more about the generations of computers. So it's always good to know the best way to ask a question in order to get an answer. And when we are looking at using search engines, the web browsers and all of that, there are ways of asking questions. So if you are able to ask those questions properly, you'll be able to get the answers that you want to get, right? Right? You want to obtain. So tell me more about the generations of computers. Then I hit enter. So ChatGPT is saying that with the first generation of computers, which were between the ages or the years of 1940s to 1950s, right? Technology used. So you see that it has categorized this based on certain things, right? Technology, then the examples of computers from that generation. You also look at the features of that particular generation, then programming, right? So look at the first one. Used vacuum tubes for circuitry and magnetic drums for memory. So this means that this particular aspect of the first generation of computers is what allowed those computers to store what? Data. And then the vacuum tubes were what they use for processing. Look at the first one again. Let's look at what vacuum tubes are. So when you go here, we just searching randomly to see what vacuum tubes are. So you can just Google them. These are vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes are more or less like what the computers use to process data and all of that. So now, as a student, maybe I don't really know how these things were able to process data. I'll go back to ChatGPT and I say, okay, ChatGPT, tell me what and how vacuum tubes perform their processes, right? Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. What is a vacuum tube? So he says a vacuum tube, also called a thermonic what valve. So you see now, if you didn't know what a vacuum tube is, now you now know another name for a vacuum tube. A thermonic what valve. It's an electronic device that controls the flow of electricity in a high vacuum between electrodes inside a sealed glass or metal tube. Right? So something like this, you would see that makes sense. So main parts of a vacuum tube, the cathode, anode, control or control grade also. So these are different ways of you being able to search for things on the internet and use them very well. Some people have the will to want to learn things, others don't. You would see that there are some people that you ask them, okay, go and sit down and learn this particular thing. They won't do it because it's not because they cannot do it. They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. Why don't they want to do it? You ask yourself these questions and you can never be able to get to an answer. Why don't you want to learn what computers are. What do you want to be in, like what do you actually want to do with your life? It makes it difficult for them. They really don't understand that some of these things are things that are going to help them in the future. They have the should I even say passion? They want to do it or they love to do it, but the pain that they will go through in order to be able to accomplish it is what they are afraid of, right? It's what they are afraid of. But you don't have to be that way. You have to be motivated to do things each and every day, right? So we will always convene, especially those, even if I am able to get one person streaming my videos to learn something, it will be a very good thing for me. I would be very happy with that, right? So the first thing we looked at is the vacuum tubes, and we saw what vacuum tubes are. Then we can go back further to read and understand. Examples were the ENIAC and then UNIVAC 1, right? ENIAC, I think, is one of the computers were created by the Americans, right? And all this, you can see that the time of this is between the First World War and the Second World War. So at that time, everybody was in the race to be able to calm somebody and in using technologies. This person wants to use technology to advance their actions and attitude and all of that. So it would make sense that people wanted that way, want to become somebody. So this is one way of being able to search for things. Another thing that I am teaching right now is the upcoming generation, the fifth generation of computers. When you look at the fifth generation of computers, um, um, you have the quantum computers. You can compare the quantum computers to that of the supercomputers, and they are not far off different. There's not much difference between quantum computers and then supercomputers. Is the only difference is that is because with supercomputers they perform processes or calculate in sequential order, whilst this does calculation in what parallel. That what that means is that let's take it that you had 200 roads to your house, maybe from a particular point, right? What quantum computers will do is that they will try all the possible paths at the same time to see which one is fastest. But with the sequential process, and what the computer for the supercomputer will do is that it will probably take one road at a time, or probably a set of them, or make guesses as to which one will be the fastest. In programming, there are words for those things, right? But we're not actually looking at those ones. We're actually looking at the general understanding of what quantum computers are and what supercomputers also are. And this makes it simple and easier sometimes for those that want to get the whole understanding of these things. So that is that for those particular topics. So just testing my ideas and all of those things out, and I hope you guys try and join me out the next time we get the opportunity. We're going to be looking at all these things all together, and I will actually have a proper structure on some of the things that I will be teaching and all of that. Thank you for joining, and see you on the next one.